Amanda here, and today we're talking about a new skin tint from Revlon. This is their Illuminance Serum Tint. It has SPF 15. I purchased this myself from Ulta. It was priced at $18.99. I did buy this when I had a coupon, thankfully, because 19 bucks for a skin tint that is not even 1 fluid ounce is pretty steep, especially for Revlon. And according to the info on the back here, this is skincare infused makeup with light to buildable coverage and a soft satin finish. So those are the claims. I suppose that I agree with everything except the finish. I purchased shade 117 Light Beige. It is a little bit light for me, but with a little concealer and blush, I think it worked out just fine. And I think in general, it matches my neck and my hands and the rest of my body pretty well. So not a terrible shade match. I've been wearing this skin tint all day long, and I have many thoughts for you. I'm going to show you an application demo. I'm going to show you a check-in after about 4 hours where I applied some blush on top. And I am going to show you a check-in after almost 8 hours of wear. I have been running around like crazy today, so it was a great wear test type of day. I had to go and run errands. It was raining this morning. I had to fold a bunch of laundry. I filmed another video. I have been trying desperately to get Maggie to go outside regularly because she hates going outside in the rain. So I have had a very busy, active, all over the place, many different activities type of day. And I think that makes for a good wear test. So I'm going to show you an application demo and the check-ins, and then I'll wrap up all my thoughts at the end. Some important things to note before we get into the wear test. I have dry skin, and I'm definitely battling with a little bit more dryness than usual now that I have colder and drier weather here for the winter. And I'm also dealing with some of the effects of having more mature skin. I am 38, so I do have more fine lines, wrinkles, crinkles, creases, that I need a product that can deal with those things because that's how my face is. So we're going to see how the skin tint works with a dry skin type and a mature skin type. Wish me luck. I like to start a lot of my wear tests, foundation-ish type videos with a close-up look at my skin with absolutely no makeup on. That way you can get a feel for what the coverage looks like once you know where the baseline is, and you can just see my skin texture. I also like to kind of normalize the idea of showing you sunspots and red spots and all of the non-perfect skin, because we see so much weird fake perfect skin online, and I think that I have beautiful skin, but it isn't completely flawless. So your skin is fine and lovely just the way it is. Don't compare yourself to filters. That's weird. Okay, now let's move on from my soapbox to take a look at this skin tint. I have the shade 117 Light Beige. This is just under 1 fluid ounce, so slightly smaller than your average foundation. It just has a screw top that comes off and then squeezes out a little squeezy tube. No fancy pumps or applicators or anything. And I'm just doing a sort of a shade match here just to see how this shade looks on me. I think it's a teeny tiny bit light, but I am not mad at the undertone. I think it's close enough that it's going to be able to work. So I'm just applying this quickly to one side of my face, just blending in with my fingertips. This is a very effective method for me for most skin tints, especially for a first layer. It's what I typically like to do with my skin tints. So I'm doing just one side application here. That way I can show you a close-up and you can get an idea for the coverage and the texture when you can see one side with no makeup and one side with one layer of the skin tint. I do get the feeling that if I had gone up one shade deeper, then the undertone would be off. It seems like it would be a little bit too warm for me if I had chosen the next deepest shade. So I think this ends up being pretty decent after all is said and done. Now I'm just going to apply quickly with my fingers to the other side of my face. And then I am going to do a little bit of a second layer, not really a second layer, like a half, 1.5 layers to give myself a little bit more coverage to see how buildable this formula actually is. I decided to use this little duo fiber stippling brush to see if I could pat that second layer on and help retain some of the coverage. This definitely was not a great move. I think it's a combination of the brush that I chose to use had sort of longer bristles, so I definitely need to use something that's a shorter, denser bristle. But I also think that this formula just doesn't really build up on top of itself very well. So I decided to use a dampened sponge and take off some of the excess and sort of squish that product down onto the skin. That did help a little bit, but you can see that it's just very uneven. It looks almost like it's separating on my skin, but there's not really any reason for it to be doing that. It had been well over an hour since I'd done my skincare previously. I didn't use any primer, so this just doesn't like to build up on itself for sure. And it definitely does not like my dry skin at all. It looks pretty gnarly from the get-go. It just looks weirdly dry, even though it's supposed to be a serum hydrating type of product. So I decided to try to give it a little bit more coverage and see if I could maybe even out the texture and the coverage a little bit using my beloved concealer brush from Singe Beauty. This has a nice dense, compact bristle, and that definitely was better than the duo fiber brush. Now, in my defense, that duo fiber brush works really, really well with my Milk Makeup Sunshine skin tint, which is also a serum skin tint. So I just assumed that it would work for this, and it decidedly did not. The Singe Beauty brush helped a little bit. I think the damp sponge and then the more dense brush helped this layer up a little bit better. I did end up finishing my makeup, so I added a teeny tiny bit of concealer, brow gel, some eyeshadow, some tinted lip balm, but I did not powder and I did not use setting spray. Look, even just from the initial application, it was starting to settle into my little forehead crinkles, so I was hoping that after 4 hours of wear, maybe the product had kind of warmed up and sunken into my skin. You can see from this distance, it actually looks pretty fine from a conversational distance, but as soon as we start examining more closely, you can see the wrinkles are just cracking. I have this weird sort of dense look in between my eyebrows. My coverage on my nose is already pretty much gone. It looks so dry. It looks like it's separating and sitting on top of the skin. The coverage is not coveraging. It's not my favorite. I don't think that it's very flattering for my dry skin. It doesn't look terrible around my mouth and chin area, but I did decide to add a little bit of cream blush on top just to give a little bit more definition. I didn't want to pile a bunch of products on top because I try to be as minimal as possible when I'm doing a real wear test like this, and I think that the blush actually helped improve the look of this a whole lot. I had been out running around. I'd been out in some rainy weather, not super windy, definitely not hot. So I was trying my best to get out in the elements, and this I'm pretty sure wouldn't have looked good no matter what weather I was in. It's just not doing it for me. Gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna keep wearing it, but it's not good. And here is my final check-in after almost 8 hours of wear. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I had a very busy day today. I was out in the rain. I had to get groceries. I had to go pick up Maggie's allergy medicine. I had to take Maggie out. I've done so much laundry. I filmed another video. I've just been all over the place, out in the rainy weather, running around sweating So it's been a very busy day and we did not hold back on this serum tint test. So the forehead wrinkles are pretty bad. Those didn't hold up well at all. I don't know if you can tell as much on camera here, but it's very apparent in person that this whole area just looks super cakey and heavy. So that's not great. I've somehow lost a lot of coverage around my nose, but it still looks really heavy here. It's, from a distance, it looks fine, but up close, the texture is just not great. It's really sitting on top of my skin. The blush actually helped a lot, but where there's no blush, you can tell it's just sitting on top of the skin. It looks not great, in my opinion. The nose gunk is pretty strong. See this side. Yeah, it just looks like it's really sitting on top of the skin. I don't know how it's not giving me coverage and also looks heavy at the same time. From this distance, I think it looks fine. It's definitely passable. I would try this again, but I would pair it with some other items. Because when I'm doing a wear test, I try not to interfere too much. So I try not to do setting spray and powder and lots of other stuff. I really want to be as minimal as I can so I can let the product perform on its own. So I would give this a shot again, but I would definitely feel the need to help it along quite a bit. Overall, this just didn't really do the trick for me. I'm not so worried about the amount of coverage. I feel like when I get a skin tint and it tells me that it's light coverage, I expect it to be light coverage. So I'm fine with that. I actually quite like wearing a lighter coverage product, but I just don't like the way that this seemed to sink into my fine lines, my wrinkles, or the area around my nose. And I don't like the way that it seems to really sit on top of the skin for a product that's very light coverage and claims to be giving me skincare type ingredients. I want to feel that second skin feeling. I want to feel like the product has sunken in and just become a part of my face. And this just didn't give me that feeling. I want to offer you a couple of alternatives, things that really do work well for me, because this is the type of product I actually really like. I should love this. This is my jam. This is the type of texture, coverage, consistency that I really do gravitate towards. And I think that'll be obvious when I give you my 3 alternative recommendations, which are much loved favorite products, things that I wear all the time. So these are the 3 products that I would recommend that I think are similar coverage, but just worked a lot better for me personally. Definitely a wide price range here. This is the Skin Caring Glow Foundation from Givenchy. This one is really expensive, but this works so beautifully for me. I know this is a pricey one, but I do still feel like I'm getting more bang for my buck from this Givenchy versus a Revlon because this looks and feels so much better on my skin. Keep in mind, I did a review on this one as well. This does have a lot of fragrance in it, so I know some of my friends out here are really reactive to fragrances. If that's you, this one is not a good recommendation for you. But I love this one. The Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Tint. This is newer to my collection. It's definitely one of my favorites that I've tried recently. And this is a serum tint. So this is really in the same family as the Revlon product, but this has just been smooth, that second skin, really, really natural, just a beautiful finish. This is a complete no-brainer for me. It just always looks good. And I highly recommend this one. Again, this is pricier than the Revlon, but it works a lot better. So there's that. If you're really looking for that more drugstore budget, then this LA Girl Tinted Foundation is so lovely. It still has that gel type of texture. This still has the really hydrating serum tint type of effect on the skin. And this is considerably less expensive than the Revlon option. So just depending on what you're looking for and what your price point is, I think any one of these three is a much better alternative in my experience. Now, I realize the alternatives that I gave don't have SPF in them. First of all, this only has SPF 15, so in my opinion, that's not really powerful enough for what I want for my face. I want at least an SPF 30 for my face for my day-to-day wear, and I always wear an SPF anyway, separately, so just don't rely too much on the SPF in your makeup. There's no way that you're using enough of this per square inch of your face to even give you an effective coverage anyway. So it's nice to have extra sun protection in makeup, but I never rely on it. So just please still wear your separate SPF anyway. Keep in mind, this is just one person's experience. This really didn't work for me, but this has really good reviews on Ulta. So I always say there's a product for every person and a person for every product. Just because this didn't work for me doesn't mean that somebody else who enjoys it is not being honest. I think especially if you don't have the mature skin aspect that I have, that this might be better. But I would love to hear what you think. Have you tried this? Are you interested? Have you tried some of my alternative suggestions? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Okay. Okay. Really? Oh boy. And I watched a TikTok that made me cry earlier, so that's part of the wear test too. It was a happy cry. It was a really cute one. So what? I'm wearing a Hocus Pocus sweatshirt, so what about it? That is year-round attire for me. It's like, why am I so tired? Oh yeah, I've been doing a million things today. That's probably why. Spoilers. My eyelids are the spoilers. Gosh, is it gonna start raining again? Dang it. I gotta go try to walk Maggie again. Wish me luck. I Whoa. Whoa. Calm down. My kid got sick the week before Christmas, and I was so sure that I was going to get sick too, and it was going to ruin everything. Parents out there know it is a true tragedy for a mom to get sick around a holiday or whatever the magic making parents. Let's put it that way. It is a tragedy for the magic making parent to get sick around the holidays. Thankfully, through sheer just spite and egregious amounts of vitamin C, I made it through. And I am fine. I had a couple of days where I was like, oh, I'm a little like sniffly and drippy. And I thought I was toast. But you know what? I made it. I did it. I hope I didn't just jinx myself by saying that. Okay, I can't wait to go wash the skin tint off. My forehead just looks so bad. You know, I've worn worse foundations. I really have. From a distance, it looks really lovely. It looks fine from a distance. Just when I look at myself close up, I don't like the texture that I'm seeing. You know, it's not the worst, but it's definitely also not that great for me. But, ah. Okay, snack time. I'm hungry. I got some really good leftovers, so I'm about to go chow down on some really good leftovers. Okay, I love your face. Thanks for hanging out here. And I think you are special, important, cute, sweet, smart, and really fun to be around. And I love your face. I'll see you soon. Bye.